Hi there folks, my name's Overwatch24 and welcome to another Microsoft Flight Simulator product review, and this is a review that is for me very much long overdue. So today we are having a look at the DA42 from Cow's Simulations, and I have been wanting to do this review pretty much since it came out, but various things got in the way, and then I recently did a preview and got a chance to fly the DA50 from another developer for Microsoft Flight Simulator, and it reminded me that I still had this sitting in my hangar that I needed to spend some more time flying in and wanted to provide my thoughts on to you, the community. So here we are, eventually finally getting a chance to have a look at it. So here we are having a look at this. It is a twin, and I know what some of you might be thinking. You might be thinking, this looks awfully familiar because don't we have one of these in the sim already? And you would be kind of correct with the fact that the sim comes with the Diamond DA42. So this is the DA62's smaller brother, the DA42, and its older brother as well. And an aircraft that, funnily enough, for me, has a pretty important sort of some good memories in flight simulation, and bonus points for anyone who can guess which particular sim is from, particularly given the fact that we are taking off from Winningen airfield in southern Germany. Anyway, I am going to let those of you who have been around the flight sim for a while to figure that one out, but everybody else, welcome on board for this product review. So what we're going to be doing our usual sort of setup here. We're going to be going through, we're going to be having a look at the externals, then we're going to be jumping into the cockpit, doing a cold and dark start, and then doing a test flight to see how she handles. So as we've been starting off the video here, we've been going through and doing the orbit around the externals, and the external model is done really well, and the team have done a great job of capturing the sleek lines. And again, like it is, as I said before, like if it does seem familiar, that's because the Diamond series all share a very common sort of design here. One thing that I did note here that with the team have done here, they've done a lot of weathering on their aircraft. So this aircraft is definitely not sort of factory new or sort of like freshly painted or I was going to say lovingly maintained. Don't get me wrong, the aircraft is lovingly maintained, but it definitely shows the wear of constant use, because one of the things that this aircraft is of course most famous for is the fact that it is used quite often with a number of aviation and flight schools around the world, as well as a number of air arms for providing twin engine training. And one of the reasons for that is the fact that the entire Diamond series, but especially the DA42 and the DA62, is that they are very docile when it comes to their flight characteristics. They offer a lot of power, a lot of good performance out of their turbo diesel engines powered by Jet A1. So they get a lot of use. So the team have really sort of run with that idea and made sure that their aircraft has that loved but lived in experience here. Though I must admit that potentially I think they might have overdone it just a little bit. But anyway, overall, like the aircraft is modeled very well. As I said before, it's captured the lines of it. We've got a number of sort of clean cut designs. We've got a number of liveries with it. This is this livery that we're actually looking at here is one of the free livery pack, the free livery pack that was released by the developer for some additional content here. So this is one of the flight schools. This is not included in the base package, but it is available as a free additional livery download from the Orbix website if you wanted to grab it. Yeah, so that's pretty much about it. As I said, like the overall quality is pretty good of the texturing and the modeling. Can't really fault it at all. As I said, my only sort of comment is the fact that it seems like it's a little too worn in some places, but that's potentially, that's an aesthetic choice that I personally sort of say, yeah, I see what they're going for, but I think they might have overdone it a little bit. But other than that, it is looking pretty damn fantastic. All right, well, let's jump into the office and get ourselves underway for our test flight. All right, so here we are in the office of the Diamond DA42. And if you're thinking that it looks very familiar, very similar to what you've seen with the Diamond DA62, that would be because you are absolutely correct. It absolutely is familiar. And again, we saw it in the Diamond DA50 as well, is that the idea of Diamond aircraft designs and the way their cockpits are laid out is very much borrows from the Airbus sort of idea of the fact that, you are wanting to have a common cockpit where possible. So if you've flown one of these aircraft, then you have basically pretty much, flown them all. Now that is a double-edged sword a little bit in terms of the flight simulator side of things. So it means that you are very familiar with the cockpit layout. If you can fly the Diamond DA62 that comes, or the Diamond DA20 that comes with the sim, then you are going to be right at home in the cockpit here of the DA42. The flip side of that conversation, of course, however, means that, who would want to buy this? Why would you want to buy the DA42 if you already have a Diamond DA62 available? And I don't really have an answer for that for you, except unless you are passionate about a Diamond DA42. Like I am. I personally love the Diamond DA42. I do not have personal flight time in any of these, in any Diamond aircraft, but I have had an opportunity to crawl over in real life and crawl over and sit inside both Diamond DA20s and DA42s. I've never had an opportunity to get into a DA62. So for me, this aircraft was sort of like, I have a lot of fond memories of it in real life, static on the ground, and then a lot of fond memories of it flying in a flight simulator. So this was a first day grab for me, though I'm not going to talk about how long it took before I actually got a chance to fly it. Anyway, moving on. So yeah, this is the cockpit layout. We've got the opening canopy. So we're going to button up our canopy now, and then we're going to get through our checklist, our startup checklist. Now, of course, one of the things that's most important for me whenever I do any kind of reviews here in Microsoft Flight Simulator is I do believe strongly in the use of the in-sim checklist tools, and the team at Cal Simulations have absolutely done that. They have gone through and they provide a highly detailed checklist for giving you a full startup, cold and dark startup process. So sit back and pay attention, or sit back, maybe fast forward the video if you don't want to go through this, but we are going to go through all of this. So let's go through here. Check aux pumps 2 are both set to off. Check. Okay, fuel selectors levers check on, guards close. Okay, so we are currently set to off. So we are going to move our fuel levers forward, and we're going to close. If I can find the click point, there it is. The click points are really close for the pitch trim wheel, so you do have to be careful of that one. All right, and we can tick those on. Power levers set to idle. Check. Parking brake is set. I'm going to remember where my parking brake is, and if you can't remember, that's okay. You actually have the cockpit panel options are available to you. So we are set and release and set to lock. Excellent. Done. All right, parking brake set. Ultimate air emergency gear checked, pushed off. Check. Okay, flap selector check up. Checked. Fuel pumps 2, check off. Both fuel pumps are off. Check. Gear selector check down. Masters 4 check off. Okay, so they are again, if you're these are our avionics, avionics master, electric masters. Yep, they are all off. Okay, we are good. All right. Pitot heat, check off. Checked. Alternators 2, check on. Okay, alternator left and right, both on. Botors checked auto. ECU A, auto, ECU B, auto check. So, yep. There we go. Check auto. Set. All lights checked off. Confirmed. Circuit breakers, check all in. And yes, for those of you who do love your circuit breakers and popping circuit breakers in flight, the circuit breakers all do work. So you do have the option of pulling things and causing failures if you so desire. I will not be during the flight here, but I have checked them during my testing and confirmed that all of the circuit breakers do work and the related systems do fail if you pull the circuit breaker. All right, electric master set to on. Check. G1000 powering up. Okay, so we're going to go through and acknowledge that. Done. Set. We've got our alignment going on. Okay, control stick free, full and correct travel. So we're going to look outside on our wings here. So we've got 1, correct travel. We're going to look to the rear and deflection. Set, and can't quite see the rudder, so we're going to open up our canopy. We're going to lean out and say, yep, confirm the rudder is working. All right, let's close our canopy again. All right, elevator stop, chest test, check. Okay, so a couple of the checklist items are basically not working. Also, don't give you click points to go through, but it does give you instructions on how to do it. For example, sit back and hold. Okay, power to full. There we go. Power idle. Stick moves backwards. Okay. So it looks like that particular function may not have been modeled, but that's a minor function. I think we can go through and live without there. Trim as required, trim neutral. All right, so we are setting for takeoff trims, trim neutral set. Okay, gear fire warning test. Okay, so we're going to go through to our test. See all our lights illuminating as expected. Okay, flaps full travel test. So we're going to do our 2 notches of flaps to full. And we can see our flaps traveling. And we're going to bring them back up into the away position. Okay, de-icing systems test required. We're not going to be testing that today, but they have done a full model of the de-icing systems with, complete with de-icing fluid weight into this aircraft, which is a nice test to have. All right, fuel quantity and temp is checked, but I'm just doing a short hop today, so it won't be too bad for this one. All right, so we're sitting up here, so we've got our canopy closed and latched is checked. Strobe light is on. Okay, power lever is set to idle, confirmed. Prop area is clear. We've got our useful AI assistance there, out of the way of the propellers. So we are good. All right, engine master is set to on. Okay. Oh, let's see my avionics master. Turn that one off. Okay, engine master set to on. Okay, glow indication, wait till off. Confirmed off. Okay, start key set to start. Engine 1 is on. All pressure out of the red. On the left, we are good. Electric load is checked. Exactly what we want to see. All right, our opposite engine start, so right engine start. Engine has started. All pressure in the green. Temperatures, everything that we want to see is now in the green. That's what we like to see. Okay, so we can check all that off at the moment. We are good to go. All right, after engine start list checklist. Oil pressure is in the green. Okay, check 710, plus or minus 30 RPMs. We are good. Lights as required. We're going to put our taxi lights on. Nav lights on. Okay, fuel selectors set to crossfeed. Set. Pitot heat test. Got pitot heat on. Annunciators are off. We will be leaving our pitot heat on. Avionics master is set to on. Check. So this is a HC file. So this is something that you will see when you are on the ground, but once we get into the air, that will dissipate just as it does in the real aircraft. All right, we are doing our usual sort of, we're going to ignore some of the operations there, but we are going to do what we can. I've already preset our altimeter settings, so we are good. Okay, standby horizon cage. Set. Probably it helps if you pull and hold to cage. There we go. That's better. Instead of click. I actually like the fact that that actually does take time to set, and isn't just a one click. Like you do have to click and hold that. Again, nice little attention to detail from the team over at Cows for that one. All right, that is chest. All right, autopilot is we're going to need to test our AP. So we're going to go AP set to on. Complete. And AP off. Confirmed, engaged. All right, FMS setup is complete. Okay, so we're almost complete for that one. I just need to dial in my ILS frequency that I'll be using for our approach. So I will do that before we depart. So let me just quickly grab that for 1 second. So let's set that up now. So the ILS frequency that I'm going to be needing today is going to be, let me just refer to my knee board here, is going to be 110.90, and that is preset. There you go. It did pick it up from my flight plan. Nice. Okay, in that case, my my FMS setup is good to go. So we select that one there. Fuel selectors are set both to on. We don't have enough fuel pumps. Fuel selectors both set to on. So they're using independent engine fuel sources at the moment. All right, we are ready for our taxi. And before we do our taxi, let's look at what our lineup preparations are. Idle is basically all of our voter switches. Everything is set. And then lineup, power level max for 10 seconds as we do our takeoff. All right, we can close our checklist off there now. All right, time for us to taxi to the runway for our departure. Now I'm just going to need to check the windsock. I do believe that we're going to be needing to depart. Actually, let me set our HCDI here. Here we go. GPS is set. So we are all set to go. All right, we are ready to depart. Parking brake released. And we're going to manage to not cut somebody in half, which is always nice. I think they've done a really good job with the sound set, actually. This is not like they have not, it seems that they have not just reused the sound set from the Diamond DA42. It feels like they've actually got their own custom sound set for this aircraft, which is always nice to see when a developer... I mean, I have no problem with developers, reusing sound sets from the sim, especially if it is of an aircraft or an engine that is suitable with the aircraft that they are using. But at the same time, it's always nice to see when a developer goes out of their way to get a custom sound set for their aircraft. All right, so we're going to taxi down past the terminal there at Winnigan, past what looks like a 208 and a 172 that are having some gear work done on them at this scenery. This interesting piece of scenery. This is like a freeware piece of scenery that I picked up for this airport, and don't know whether something broke in the last sim update, but there's definitely some quirks to it. The scenery is great, but also there are some quirks to the scenery. So anyway, at least the 152s don't seem to be having gear work done on them. Alright, so we're going to go all the way down to the end of the runway. Not that we are going to need that much runway for this aircraft, but we will do a full takeoff roll. Alright, now generally speaking, this aircraft does at least I believe, the standard operating procedure for this aircraft is a flapless takeoff. And we've got plenty of runway available, and we get take advantage of the sailplane like wings here. So let's give it a go today. So we taxi down. Noticeable steering on this aircraft is very, very responsive. Differential braking. Now this sim does this aircraft does support the working title GNS 1000, obviously, which is what we are using here, and including support for full navigation, VOR and IFR navigation support. All right, so we're here. All right, no other traffic. Turn our landing lights on, taxi lights off. So we line up on 2-4. Okay. Pre-flight checks complete. Bearing up. Little bit of asymmetric thrust there as I'm pushing forward. Max throttle for a maximum of 10 seconds. Okay, speeds reached. 80 knots. Rotate. Slide back on the power. Positive rate. Gear up. She just flies so well, and as you can see very clearly, like, this is why this aircraft is so popular with flight training schools, because she is so docile in pretty much any of her flight regimes. She's incredibly docile, easy to handle, and easy to manipulate. So I'm just going to do a gentle left-hand circuit here. We keep on our climb here, so keeping around about 90, just over 95 knots in the climb. Give it just over 10 degrees nose up to keep that climb rate there. She affords a impressive amount of vision here when you're flying this aircraft, which again it shares with the other aircraft in the Diamond family, of being very, very clear, very easy to view out of, along with their flight characteristics. So we can bring ourselves back onto our little magenta line. Now, of course, you obviously do have a full autopilot system set up available here. So we're just going to gently get us back onto course, and then we'll set up that autopilot. Go for a cruise altitude. We'll just do about 8,000 feet, I think, today for our cruise. So we can set our cruise altitude 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh. Okay. I'm going to put our AP on. I'm going to do nav, and that is actually, we're going to disconnect the AP because I didn't get that right. So we're going to do our AP. So we want to do our vertical speed. There we go, AP on. I'm going to go on to nav. There we go. All set. That wandered us a little bit past where the magenta line was. Helps if I put it on the right CDI source, that always helps as well. So So it does use the sort of a bit of more flight simulation logic when it comes to the AP lining up there. You don't have to plot an intercept course to the line. It will sort of do this more abrupt adjustment to get you back onto course. So that is something that is, but that's a working title thing. It's not an issue with this particular rendition of the aircraft. Here we're going to 1500 feet per minute ascent rate. We're going to pitch that down a little bit. We're going to bring that down to 1000 feet per minute just so we can get up a bit more airspeed. Here we are, getting online with our magenta line there. Turn our landing lights off. Clear the airspace. Alright, as we settle into our course here, we will jump outside and we'll have a look at the external model now that we are in flight. So having a look at the external model of the DA42 from Cows here, we can see that again, she's got that beautiful clean lines that we've come to expect from, or that you know from all Diamond aircraft. And again, that anybody who's flown the DA62 in the sim would be very familiar with already. Fundamentally, the DA42 is the smaller sort of the two, just being a 4-seater, still driven by 2 power plants offering great fuel efficiency and great performance, just with a slightly reduced payload options available to it. Doing the external view here, you can get a real sense of all the weathering that's actually gone on from the team here that they've done. So you can see that it is, there's a lot of grime and build up here. And while I'm normally someone who, I like to have my aircraft, not look like they're factory new, and I like to know that they lived in, I feel that, especially comparing this to real life photos of diamonds and my real life experience of being in and around a Diamond DA42, it just feels a little on the excessive side. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad that it's there, I just feel it's slightly on the excessive side. But I'm honestly picking, I'm reaching pretty far to find something bad when it comes to this model. I really am. The model itself is perfectly, it looks the part. It does everything it says on the tin. It's just the textures I just feel are a little on the over-weathered side. But that seems to be, from my experience as a texture artist working for several developers, that seems to be something that the flight sim community seems to be obsessed over. So your mileage will vary on that one, but it is definitely for me not a make or break factor for this aircraft. Now, you do actually get 2 different models of the aircraft available to you. You get 2 different engine types that are included with this one. You get the VT and you get the TDI. This is the TDI variant that we are flying here today to give you that, and both do have separate models, both in terms of their externals and in terms of their performance. So they are subtly different, and you do get different performance numbers based on the 2. Just like in real life, though, the performance numbers aren't hugely different. You really often have to put it at the edge of the performance envelope if you want to test those, but absolutely the differences are there, which is great for the developer to give us essentially 2 different engine options in one. You don't have to buy a DLC for a DLC to get the second engine option. It is all included for you. So great work there from the team at Cows. Now, while we're having a look here, we're cruising over southern Germany here, let's switch to night and have a look at the night lighting. So at night, the aircraft is, there's not a lot going on there. I like the reflections that go on from the nav lights and everything available there. It does show quite well externally. I should have actually put the landing lights on, and we'll go back inside, do that in the cockpit, and then bring them on in the, to have another look at the outside there before we change over. But let's jump into the cockpit and have a look at the internal cockpit lighting. Alright, so internal lighting is does pretty much what it says on the tin. So you do have your 2 main sort of controls here. You've got your instrument and flood lighting here available. So, and the floodlights come from your lights up here. Actually, let's just turn those off. If I can turn find the switches for them. There they are. Actually turn your lights off there, and you do have a cabin light over here available. So we'll just turn those off. We'll just have our main panel lighting up here. So this is pretty much what you would fly with most of the time in real life, but you do have a dash floodlight as well for your upper gauges up here. So it does pretty much do what it says on the tin. We'll just quickly turn our landing there we go, landing and taxi lights on, so we can have a look at those outside and see what they look like. So you can see the clear beams and the reflection off the airframe there of the belly mounted landing and taxi lights. So it does what it says on the tin, and it is kind of effective. You do also have a wing ice observance light as well that you can see lighting up the airframe there. So the lighting does what it says on the tin, and it is fairly effective, and overall, yeah, it looks pretty good. Though this aircraft, it is fully capable of flying IFR, flying at night, though with the visual capability of it, it is definitely something that I will probably be flying most of the time. I will be flying during the day. But speaking of, let's jump back to daytime and go through some of our navigation. So just for perfect timing as we get to waypoint here, the aircraft just doing that beautiful bank turn here. What we might actually do, we might actually drop out of AP and we will do a bit of a steep turn here to test the performance of this aircraft. The power is set a bit high here. Didn't realize that I'd cut it back from takeoff power, but I forgot to drop us back to cruising power here, so we were going a little on the fast side. Let's drop the speed back a little bit, then we'll drop out of AP and we'll do a steep turn, because the aircraft is so docile, and is hence why its popularity with flight academies and flight training and flight instruction around the world. It really does have that popularity because of that. And in fact, the aircraft, if it does lose an engine, essentially because of its glider-like wings, it essentially does act exactly as that. It acts as a glider, so it has quite an incredible gliding range. So now we've set it out here, let's disconnect our autopilot. And then we'll do a steep turn. So AP is off. Okay, so we're looking at about 8,000 feet. So we're holding that. 20 degrees bank angle. A little bit too far back on the stick as I pulled there. So she's very easy to hold in a steep bank, and she does hold pretty well. A little bit of back pressure on the stick there. Just holding through there, not too much, because the wings do just give a pretty solid, pretty high amount of lift. So being able to maneuver this aircraft through a steep turn is surprisingly easy. And again, from everything that I can read from individuals who give stories, and from real-world videos that I compared this to with this aircraft, it does seem that this is pretty much spot on. The flip side, of course, of having a wing as large as this and a sail like as this is that it does tend to be a little bit at the mercy of some rough weather. So if you do find some thermals and the like coming through, you will find that you will get a little bit of a bumpy ride from time to time. But that is something to for given everything else for this aircraft, it is pretty not something that's too bad there. I rolled that out a little early. So she rolls back out onto course very, very quickly, far more quicker than perhaps I would have expected. So let me just get our AP back on there. Put it there. Alright, that is a nice clean maneuver done there. We'll get our cruise power set properly this time. It's looking around about 55% of load on the engines there. Set. Alright, well, let's break this video here and we'll rejoin the video as we head in for our arrival into Cologne, and we'll shoot the ILS on runway 14 left. Alright, so we had a wind change as we were approaching Cologne, so it turned out that we would end up coming in on 2-4. So we are just about to enter the feather for that at the moment. So we got the interception altitude, just waiting for our localizer to start, needle to start moving. Start our descent, drop our power back to around about 40, just under 40% to start our approach. See, the needle is alive, so we're going to move into the feather. Overshot it a little bit. Okay, power back down. And a little bit on the high side now. This can be a challenge on many of the Diamond aircraft, and I know that I've had significant trouble with this even with the DA50 and the DA62 in the sim, is that the aircraft can get away from you because of how much lift it generates. It can get away from you a little bit with this one. I think I might end up being a little bit too fast for this approach here at the moment. I think we're looking at 100 and knots. Okay, there we go. So we are on slope, a little bit right of center line here. So we just want to bleed off some of that airspeed. Gear coming out. Push the trims. Okay, flap extension speeds. So 120, 135 knots for first stage flaps. So we can do the first stage flaps is good. Essentially, we're going to ride the power down, push the trims. So I am hands-on flying for this one. I like to see how an aircraft handles at the approach speeds. So I tend to not do an autopilot all the way, and I like to hand fly an ILS approach myself. I know that, strictly speaking, and I have tested it, that I can do the full automatic approach with this one, but it is my preference to do hands-on. So let's go with that. A little bit below the slope. I dropped it a little bit below slope there, so it's going to slow that descent rate down for a minute. A little bit more power. Two whites, two reds, exactly what you want to see. A little bit under the slope again. Hold back that descent rate. 80 knots over the fence. Synthetic vision coming through there. Okay. Power off for the flare. And down. Nice and smooth. Little bit wiggly on the ground there. A little bit right of center, but nice, smooth landing. Definitely one of the smoother ones I've done lately, that's for sure. Alright, let's taxi. We'll taxi off the runway here, then we'll park up. We'll give some final thoughts about this aircraft here. We're going to have to be taxi a little bit further down for our next taxiway. Okay, clean up the aircraft while we're here. Okay. Taxi lights on. Landing lights off. We'll park up near the UPS facility there here. I don't think we had any cargo on board, but you know, it's always nice to show up some of the big boys every now and again. All right. the synthetic vision is really kind of cool. Like I always struggle to see, it's always amazing to see how far technology has come for so many ways, to see it come to life here. And there we go. Alright, and parking brake engaged. Alright, so our shutdown procedure, okay, so we've cleaned up our flaps. Okay, throttles set to idle. Okay, fuel covers open. Open, and fuel control, fuel cutoff. Cross feed, and close. There we go, and done. Alright, fuel pumps off. Pumps cleaned up. Engine masters set to off. Pitot heat set to off. Lights off. Electric master and AV master set to off. Alright, let's jump out and give our final thoughts about the DA42 from Cowl Simulations. So final thoughts about the Diamond DA42 from Cowl Simulations. Look, this is an aircraft that I really cannot fault. As I said, I think the only thing for me is the way the textures are done, but honestly, I'm pretty sure that's just a personal preference more than anything else. The flight model is absolutely spot on. When I did previously do some failure testing of, pulling various circuit breakers and whatever on there, it behaved pretty much exactly what it did. The system related to it would stop working. The gear extension failed, and I would have to use the emergency hydraulic gear extension. I pulled the avionics bus for the MCU of the MFD, and the MFD went off, and it slaved over to the other display. That was probably actually the one thing that I did notice, is that when I killed the MFD, the right MFD, and I then reconnected the breaker, it only displayed the content of MFD1. It wouldn't actually switch back to whatever the MFD2 was supposed to show. So I don't know if that's correct behavior, but that was just an observation that I made. But beyond that, everything else in this aircraft is an absolute blast to fly. If you are a fan of the Diamond DA42, especially with the 2 different engine options that it comes with, this is going to be an aircraft that you probably already, given how late this video is to the community, you've probably already grabbed, but definitely it comes with my recommendation. Overall, great setup, great first release from the team of Cowl Simulations, and I look forward to seeing what else they produce into the future. So there you go. So that wraps up this review video, folks. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, as always, to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed these videos and want to see more. And of course, as always, you can catch up with me and all the things I'm up to between videos by following me on Facebook and on Twitter and on Twitch. Just search NovaWing24. Alright, folks, thanks very much for watching. Take care, safe skies to all, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.